So hi, One of the Guys podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with.
Al Boltz of A Scent Like
There were
Wolves.
some questions to say about their new album, Distant Dystopia. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
It's going pretty good, honestly. I think the first day it came out, it seemed like the fans were like a little polarized by it, I guess. But yeah, I think it's grown on people since the release, so I'm very stoked to see that, and the band is pretty happy with the reception overall too.
That's good. The album
Oh yeah.
rocks.
Oh yeah.
Thank
I
you,
fucking love
thank
it.
you.
Have
Yeah.
have the fans
Appreciate
warmed up to it post the initial like polarizing response, or is it still
Yeah,
polarizing
I
out
think
there?
so. I forget where I read this, but Traveler is somebody was somewhere on the interwebs. They were saying that the electronics, like the Depeche Mode kind of stuff, threw them off for the opening song. But I feel like that sets a good tone for the album. So, you're kind of just like you're getting strapped in while you're being prepared for what the album has to offer. That way, I think is pretty cool. What's good about that introductionary phase about the album? So I don't know. I guess, maybe it's not for everyone, but this is probably our most favorite record that we've actually made. So,
Oh
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
love it.
And honestly, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. As long as you're happy with the end
yeah,
product. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell
It's a good way to think about that because I think some bands tend to write music for their fans. Not saying that we don't also think about that when we're making the music, but we just really want to make music that makes us happy and
yeah. Mhm.
just kind of like pushes the boundaries of what A Scent Like Wolves is and can be.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah, so every time we do these releases, it's basically like a gigantic art piece or just sort of an artistic project in general. And they all have themes, and all the artwork is done by our friend Corey Swope. He actually has a band called Zombie Shark. I don't know if you've seen that floating around on the internet the
Mhm.
past month or
Mhm.
so. But yeah, he has like crazy cyber grind type music. But anyway, yeah, he designed the cover maybe about 3 years ago. We've been working on this, and I came up with the title sometime in 2020. So before our last record, Mystic Wars, even came out, we already had this one in the works, sort of. But that's how it usually goes for some reason in this band. We're always floating around demos to each other.
Mhm.
So it is a concept record, and it's sort of about the end of the world, and I guess more or less like a an alien invasion story is tied in the mix with it as well. Uh, but the song "Distant Dystopia" is just sort of about self medication itself, and um, I think we all sort of needed that during the pandemic and the last 4 years that we've sort of been a part of this crazy world, and yeah, that's basically more or less the gist of it.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Yeah, so our guitarist Jeff, he basically is the main composer of the band, and we sort of like to sprinkle Mystic Auras. We put like a lot of electronic elements or like more synthy stuff behind there, but I think we wanted to go a little bit harder with that. Like one of my favorite records from 10 years ago is Fight Star Behind the Devil's Back, and they sort of like started pushing like synth boundaries with metalcore, and I always thought that was really fascinating because they were one of the first bands to do that. They're sort of not a well-known band in the US. They're from the UK.
Mm.
But Nick and I used to live in England, and they have always been one of our influences. So that kind of stuck with us a little bit. And we were like, oh, what if we try and like do something more electronic, like not maybe as synthy, but just kind of getting like those samples of like Depeche Mode kind of sounding
Mhm.
things with our songs, and um, so we started just floating around some demos online, and Jeff actually lives like 10 minutes away from me, so I'll just go over and we'll sit like in his studio and write music and collaborate together. But I'd say mostly he will work out all the entire songs himself, and then the rest of the band will sort of do their flair over top of that or come up with the vocal melodies and the drum patterns and stuff. So
Gotcha.
that's basically
Cool.
more or less like our writing style for the album. But yeah, Jeff takes control of everything
Fair enough.
essentially, and
Gotcha.
then we do our thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You'll find that's common with most bands. There's always like one lone writer just so everything stays cohesive, and that's kind of the way
Yeah.
we like it to be too.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Sure.
Curious at what point the concept came into the fold, because you mentioned you had the title in 2020 before you really started writing the record per se.
Yeah.
So at what point in the writing process did the concept come about? Was it from the beginning?
You know, I think it pretty much was because I had that title floating around. Actually, I drew a sketch of the cover, and it looked a little different than it does now. And I sent it to my friend Corey, who does the artwork for our band, and he was like, "Oh, this is cool." And it was desert themed too, like sort of that way. And then he sort of made it what it is now, and that just kind of gave me an idea. And he already had that really well established before we started really working on the full album.
Mm.
So I think when the artwork was done, we already had Sunscape and Familiar Beings uh, pretty much like cemented in general, and that was kind of the theme more or less. Like if you've seen the music video for Sunscape, it pretty much ties in our whole album art theme that we have going on. And this dude from Australia, he's a part of Eclipse Media. That's his company. He actually made the video and based it off of the artwork that Corey made for the record. And we wanted it to really be like some sort of wasteland that it is,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what we pictured it to be too. So yeah, I'd say that almost from the beginning we sort of had it that way. But we've been working on the record since 2021. We recorded those two songs as singles first, and um, decided to save them for like an actual release. And we worked on the record for about 2 weeks straight in the studio a year later.
God damn.
Okay. So kind of going into the writing process, was everyone on board with making it a concept record? Was there any pushback with that? And do you think it was easier or harder to kind of write in that kind of concept box, I guess?
Yeah, I think that they're pretty open to that idea. I mean, almost all of our records are like that in general. So,
Mm.
as far as like the band sort of trusts me and Nick to come up with the lyrics and like the
Yeah.
themes that way. So, I guess more or less I'm the leader of that. I've come up with all the titles and whatnot. But uh, for example, like Spirit Vessel, our EP was very political,
Mm.
and Mystic Auras is kind of more about personal influence and like things we've actually went through in our lives. So yeah, just things like that. It's almost always that way.
Okay.
Makes
Okay,
sense.
good. Good. So what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Hmm. Longest to write. That's a pretty good question.
Thank you.
Probably Escape Hatch, I'd say. It's like the final song on the record. We for those songs, I think we sort of have an idea of which ones we're going to put last
Mm.
when we're working on them because we typically tend to make those a little longer, like have a longer outro. Like on all of our releases, the final songs have like a minute of just instrumentals playing to
Yeah.
sort of fade the album out,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a cool thing we've always done. Um, so I really like that song too. I put some sneaky synth layers in the background of the song when it's fading out in the last like couple seconds of it. So that's something I'm proud of. But
Mm.
I'd say my favorite song probably is the song "Distant Dystopia," and it had several couple of name changes, and Nick actually convinced me to name it "Distant Dystopia" just because I say that lyric in the actual song. But
Mm.
I feel personally it's probably my best lyrical piece that I've made ever.
Yeah.
That song like really just inspired me to be better and just like push myself and like write better. And um, I was meditating every day for like almost a whole year. And
Wow.
that's sort of what that song's about, I guess, essentially, and just finding like the light in the darkness. And when we go back to this concept record, that's how it would be if it was like a dystopia, you know.
Mm.
Like what if things didn't return to normal on Earth while we were going through the pandemic and it was like Tom Cruise World of Worlds or some shit.
Yeah. That's my fucking favorite movie. So,
Yeah.
is it just kind of going into writing for like future projects or anything? Are you kind of worried because you're now comparing songs you're writing now to that song, your favorite song, you're most proud
Mm,
of it? Is that, I don't know, self-destructive?
it might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that, I guess, yeah, because we haven't tried to write any new material, but
Mm.
um, yeah, that's a good one. But I think honestly we'll probably I don't know if we'll really try and follow this one up for a while just
Okay.
because collectively I think this is the band feels that it's the best thing that we've made, and
Hmm.
probably like this is what we've always envisioned our sound to be like.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. It's hard to say if we'll ever really put out music again or how long it'll take. So
Okay.
everybody's kind of just been really busy in our like personal lives too, and just it sounds corny to say, but or cliche, but we've all gone through like a real tremendous period of growth
Hmm.
in the last like 3 or 4 years, basically since the pandemic. It sort of forced us to all get new jobs. You know, Nick lives in Hawaii now. He doesn't even live around here. So that's
Yeah.
like kind of a big question up in the air for touring and playing shows right now, just like logistically trying to
Hmm.
make that happen. I'm sure that we'll do something like that again, but as far as when, I really have no idea.
Okay. And you said you haven't written in a while. Are you the type to just kind of like pick it up when it's time to write an album? You're not one that just kind of like writes forever, I guess?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's kind of that's how I feel. I think that just when you get into the moment of like creativity or just being an artist, when it feels right, I think is when you make the most honest material.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a reflection of yourself, and that's the way it should be. You know, I think when people sort of force things to happen or force themselves to do something, it might not always come out good, or you get like a bunch of shitty demos or something you're not happy with
Yeah.
anyway, and then you're just sitting on a hard drive forever. But um, I forget who said this. I think it might have been somebody in the Red Hot Chili Peppers or something, but they go out and like take 30 minutes of their day to create every day. And I tried doing that. I
Mhm.
was just like, I don't know if that's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not for
yeah.
me. That's
Um,
fair.
so how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer, shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Yeah, it's always sort of random, I think, at first, we'll just we'll write a bunch of demos and make a bunch of demos. I know for our album Frigid Future, we probably had like 35 to 40 demos of songs. Like and most of them were full songs that just never made it.
Oh,
So for this one, I think every song except maybe three that we were working on made the record,
hmm.
and they're pretty much all random. I think we made the decision while we were in the studio to put Traveler first, just because it sort of sounded like an intro
Hmm.
to the album. So, but Escape Hatch we had figured out a while ago to make at the end of the song. But everything else, um, typically, like when I listen to the mixes back of the songs, I'll like make a good album placement. And the only songs that needed to go together were Starship and Interstellar because they actually connect into each other. They're like one big file.
Yeah.
The song Starship we actually made in the studio in like one day
Oh my
before
God.
we wrote it. So that's like something random we didn't even expect to happen.
Yeah.
I think we were just joking around that we've never actually made a song that was all screaming before, and we were like, "Fuck it, why don't we do that too?" Like we'll just put everything we can on this album that's different.
Hmm.
You know, the song Halcyon is just all clean singing. There's no breakdowns or screaming or anything in there. So you get a little bit of both. Both
Yes, both
worlds on this
worlds.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
War of
Well,
the
yeah.
Worlds. Yeah,
Damn
yeah.
right. Damn right.
Yeah.
So, would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this album?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I guess like mostly positive. Like I said, it was sort of like meditating every day. But that song, Distant Dystopia itself, like it's not really. It's positive and negative too if you read the lyrics. But um, I think for us it was just kind of like a downer period of time because we didn't really know like if we would be playing shows, like when this stuff would be coming out. Like we're all just kind of like busy doing our own thing outside of the band, and we've been a band for I think almost 14 years and a couple of months from now. So
Shit.
um, yeah,
Congrats.
like yeah, thank you. I've personally been doing it since I was like 17 or 18. So I'm 32 a couple of weeks from now, and it's like it's kind of nice to just like step away from it for
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
while, even though we've had a long period of time during the pandemic and have time to reflect on it. But after a while, you start to feel burned out about
Mm.
things and just like keeping up on social media all the time. And we've been a band literally since the MySpace era, so
Mm.
uh, it's almost like we want to hire somebody to do that kind of thing for us, like update our socials. Like I'm tired of doing
You're
that.
like, what's a TikTok?
Every day. Yeah, exactly. Like I've been, I've been posting on our TikTok a little more. I actually haven't posted since the album came out, but it's just everything changes so quickly, so rapidly all the time, and that's just technology, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's there's a fine line, I guess, when it comes down to separating yourself as like an artist, and then you have to like also be a creator now in this world
Yep.
too, and like sometimes that takes precedent over even making the music itself. And I feel like some bands are kind of like lacking in the music department because they're so focused on that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. People lean more towards the content creation versus like the actual music and the content in the
Exactly.
music, the lyrics. It's just a toss up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, they made like a funny video, but like, did they spend that long on their music? Like how's that sound?
Exactly.
And then forget trying to find a healthy balance between the two. It's not going to happen. Not when
It's not
when
healthy
now
at all, yeah.
not when now the way to gain the traction on TikTok is to go live multiple times a day. Who has like 6 hours in their fucking day to go live 3 times so that
Nobody.
your video gets a few more views? I mean,
yeah. It's funny that you bring that up because I was thinking about doing that the other day. Like, will people even give a shit about me going live on here? Like, I don't really use TikTok that much for the band or like myself in general, but
yeah.
It's like, well, do I want to contribute like an hour and a half, 2 hours of my time like this morning to do that?
Yeah.
My precious time off that I already don't have.
I mean,
yeah.
It does work. I mean, like if you can find the time, it does work. I have an artist right now that took a leave from work that is doing the lives 3 times a day, and it is working for them. But it is a lot of time,
and
that you have to put in.
Yeah, that's active energy where you're on and you're talking to people and you're interacting and you're trying to be entertaining, and it's like, then you're performing even off stage. I'm like, I could not be an artist in this day and age. It's so exhausting just watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It kind of goes back to like what I was telling you. I always feel like sometimes when I do this stuff, I feel burned out just because I've always been managing our socials and stuff for like 20 or like 15 years or whatever. And it's like, like, is this are we ever going to get away from social media? Probably not. It's just part of our society now. So I think we just, as some people say, we just have to do it and deal with it. But it also just creates, I feel like, a lot of negativity too, and people just kind of get really sad and depressed when they see certain things online. So I like to take breaks from social media a lot of the time.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you, especially Twitter. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends and dark with headphones on? Is workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
Fucking take a bath and set the mood, get some candles out, get some bath bombs. Shit. I don't know. I mean, that's something I haven't really thought about either. We wanted to do like a listening party around our like our hometown area. But I think we just kind of forgot about that idea. So I would just say put on a good like pair of headphones and just kind of sit alone by yourself for an hour and just kind of really take it all in, at nighttime, especially. Sometime at like, 9 p.m., 10 o'clock or something. Get cozy, snuggle with your pets. I don't know.
Damn right.
All right.
Hell yeah. So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Energetic, sexy, groovy. So that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with right
Sounds
there.
Good.
Solid.
And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
I guess just like some sort of any expression of joy. Honestly, I think that one of the criticisms about our last record is that it like wasn't heavy as all of our past releases have been, and we tried to deliver that this time instead. Like our guitars were a little tuned up for that release, and people were like, oh, like where's the devil spit of this album, or they'll like ask us like where's the heavy parts of this album. So we were like, okay, we're gonna fucking tune our guitars lower on this record and make it heavier and sort of incorporate the electronic elements that we did in the last record too. So I hope that people are just enjoying that aspect of the album, just kind of hearing the finer details behind it all, because there's a lot of like atmospheric sound effects and different types of keyboards and whatnot in the record, and there's a lot of layers. So I guess I just want people to feel like some sort of sense of happiness from it. That's what I feel when I listen to it. So
Damn right.
Hell yeah.
Love it. I love it. So, are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments from the creation of this album, positive or negative?
definitely like I don't really know if there's ever like a negative part to us making our releases, except that we're always pressed for time. That's like
Yep, I'll do it.
true at St. Michael's fashion right there. We're always late for everything.
Yeah.
I know like sometimes when we pull up to like gigs and shit, we'll be like late loading in, and part of that's just because we like to sleep in, I guess. But
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, or we'll just be late because we lose track of time or something like that. So um, definitely we're always like that's I guess that would be the only negative part about making the album is we're always down to like the last second with anything when it comes to that. So yeah, creating Starship and Reach into Hell were definitely like they were struggles because we had a day to make Starship, and I had to literally go home from the studio after being in there for 9 hours in a day and then write lyrics and make out like vocal melodies and patterns for the song,
Yeah.
and then come back in the next day and record it. So
Ugh.
that was a little stressful, but it's always I feel like the best part about this band is we work great under pressure, and that was a good thing. So I think that those songs came out really sweet just because of that.
Hell
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Love that.
Love it.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Oh God. I have a lot of dietary restrictions these days. I found out I have celiac disease and I have diabetes. So for me, it's like we're stopping at a fucking gas station. Like
Yeah.
you guys are killing me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Fuck you
but
guys.
I did go to a Bucky's sometime last year, and I have to say that place is phenomenal. Like every gas station, take note. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know where y'all are based out of, but the big thing around here is like Sheets and Wawa, and
Mhm.
this place called Rutter's. That place isn't that great, but
Yeah.
I'd say snack of choice. I'm always gonna get some diet iced tea, no matter what.
Ooh.
All right.
Straight
Mhm.
up, like any flavor, like doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
I do prefer hot tea more than that, but if I'm at a Wawa or something, I'm gonna get a diet iced tea, straight
I
up.
see.
All right.
And I don't know if it's a Wawa or something, I'll probably get like a cheesesteak, like an MTO sort of item. But
Mhm.
probably just like some sort of pack of chips or something. Honestly, uh,
Okay.
like salt and vinegar.
Mhm.
Salt and vinegars that's like a top flavor right
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean?
Damn
Yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Wawa or Sheets? Gotta ask, because you're in that area where it's
You took
both of
that
them.
Well,
fucking question. Yeah.
yeah. Let's see. Well, so one time we were on tour and we stopped at a Sheets. I think in West Virginia of all places, they have Sheets
Mm.
out there.
The
Go
hell?
figure. But I know that's what I was thinking when we stopped at it. It was so early in the morning. I didn't even question it. I thought we were still in Pennsylvania or something. But
Yeah.
we stopped and we got some breakfast sandwiches or something there, and we posted to Twitter. Uh, we settled the debate for you. Sheets is better than Wawa, and Sheets DM'd us, and they were like, "We're gonna send you some free shit," and they literally mailed us. They mailed us T-shirts, like sunglasses, a magnet for our van, gift cards for the store, and shit like that.
What?
It was fucking insane. They like gave us a handwritten note. So I'm gonna say just because of that, Sheets they were a lot
Damn.
nicer that way. But Wawa's like right there.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
close. It's close.
All right.
But
Oh my
Sheets
God.
Sheets like doesn't have to hide itself of like how unhealthy they are. They advertise themselves that way. Wawa tries to disguise it a little bit, and that's what I don't like about Wawa.
Yeah,
They do. Yeah, they try.
I'm in New Jersey, so there's Wawas everywhere.
Okay.
It's Wawa and Quick Check around here, but I went to Sheetz once when I was on vacation up in the Poconos, and it changed my fucking life. I can't even lie. I wish that there were Sheetz around here, and it's not even because it's really anything special. I mean, they're basically the same fucking thing when you talk about the food, but they have a pretzel roll for their sandwiches, and I want my veggie sandwich on a pretzel roll every time, and I can't get that around here.
Wawa doesn't have that.
Yeah, I think Wawa needs to take some notes, because they were probably around first, but some of the stores aren't like, we're getting really detailed here, but some of the stores, their quality, I feel like, is diminishing, and they don't really give a shit to like fix them up. Whereas Sheetz are coming out like popping, like brand new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gigantic places with like a huge MTO menu. So Sheetz all the way.
Damn, I'm a Wawa enjoyer. I've never been to Sheetz, so I really I
you have nothing to compare it to.
No, I can't.
Yeah, you got. But when you both go to a Buc-ee's, you'll be like, what the hell?
There's talks of one popping up in New Jersey. So there's a sign on the New Jersey Turnpike that says like the nearest Buc-ee's is 500 miles away, and people are speculating that means there's going to be a Buc-ee's in New Jersey soon.
You know, I saw that on the PA Turnpike too, like a week ago or something like that. And it said the same thing, 500 miles. So I'm wondering where is that? You know,
put it somewhere in the New Jersey, PA area. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Damn right. Hell yeah.
Well, I hope that we all get to go to it. Because it's amazing.
Yeah. A little road trip to Buc-ee's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We'll bring the band. We'll fly in Nick from Hawaii. We'll go.
Perfect.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Probably chicken tikka masala, because we're spicy. No. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, but definitely love me some chicken tikka. I think that's a good answer. I'm gonna stick with that.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Right. Good pick.
And for the last couple questions, I'm going to shift completely away from music. So, if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
I'm gonna say Kung Fu Panda, because that's what I've been watching. So I'd probably be a panda. Yeah. We were supposed to go visit the red pandas when we toured China, but we never did that. So it always made me a little. It's one of my regrets of the tour. You know, it's probably a panda. I'm getting prepped for Kung Fu Panda 4. So
Nice.
I just watched all the movies in a row, and I'm like,
I'm ready.
That's exactly. Jack Black is one of my favorite actors and musicians. I think he's kind of an underrated vocalist, honestly. On a topic of vocalists, his vocal range is like criminally underrated. He's exceptional. Like, I mean, you know, Tenacious D's music's kind of just out there, but his range is very impressive. I don't think most people realize that when they actually listen to them.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Black isn't the guy that I expect to have impressive vocals. You know, he's just a funny guy.
Exactly. Yeah. But when you listen to him, you're like, I don't even know if I could hit that note that he's doing right there. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Hell yeah. So, if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I'm gonna have to go with this band I mentioned earlier called Fight Star. The vocalist Charlie Simpson. I feel like it would just be kind of interesting to pick his brain, because he's in a number of projects. He's a solo project. He has that band. He has this band from the UK called Busted, and they're like the British version of Blink-182, essentially. They sold out Wembley Arena like 11 nights in a row when I lived over there, which is crazy. That's like a huge stadium over there. So yeah, I think it would just be kind of interesting to pick his brain about his experience. He actually left that band while they were at the height of their fame to start a post-hardcore band, Fight Star, and I think that was like the fucking raddest shit ever. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't give a shit that he was missing out on like money or anything. Like, he just wanted to make music that sounded like you know, things that he was inspired by at the time, like Deftones and Armor for Sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably him.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, good pick.
And for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one movie, one album, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
One movie. Okay, it's got to be super bad. That movie's pretty funny. I
That is
love
my
that movie.
favorite movie. Damn right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I can like recite that movie from start to finish. That sounds awful.
No,
But
no, that's completely fair because me too. So it's
yeah,
okay. It's okay.
yeah. So I probably, yeah, I definitely pick that movie. And one person I'd bring with, I'd have to say my fiance, or she's going to kill me.
Yeah.
So that choice is automatic
Yeah.
right there. But
Yeah, yeah.
and one record, probably the record I've listened to the most in my life is probably Blink 182's Untitled. Um, that was the first record that sort of inspired me to be a musician, and I actually went to probably the first album I've ever even purchased at a physical store when I lived in the UK. So definitely that record, I feel like it's kind of timeless for me.
Hell yeah. All right. So as I said, that's all questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Yes, go check out our new record, Distant Dystopia. It's everywhere that you can stream music. Please, pick up a physical copy if you can online. It helps us out more than you know. We have this beautiful vinyl that's only out of 100. I think it's almost sold out. We haven't
Yeah.
promoted it too much, but we've really put some TLC into the vinyl packaging on this one, and we're actually giving pre-order fans like a special gift secretly. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you for sound. It's been Al from Ascent Like Wolves, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.